If you're planning to getting a car here in Colombia, that might be a very bad idea.
Welcome to How to Expat. My name is Tasha. We're here with Coco and Sam.
Exactly. Today we're going to talk about if it's a good idea to get a car here in Colombia, because there's a couple of things you absolutely need to know before making the move if you plan to having a car. So unfortunately, there are many downsides of getting a car here. What are a couple of things you want to mention in the beginning of getting a car here?
Of getting a car, first of all, it is really expensive because they're they don't produce their own cars, so they have to import all of them. First of all, that means you can't import used cars from abroad. It's prohibited. So you're forced to, if you want to if you want to come with a car, it has to be a new car or an old timer. Yeah, so you're gonna spend a lot of money just to get a car because this is one of the rules here.
Yeah, and yeah, then the other thing is what you just have to know, like, it depends if you already have some experience driving in other countries, but Colombians, it's not too bad, but yeah, it's still a drive a little crazier than what you most probably are used to from your home country. Yeah. So that's the thing you absolutely need to know. So that's, yeah, I think from the people we know here that are expats, lived from 10 years to 6 months, I think only about maybe 10% really own cars here, especially in the cities. So yeah, that's really the thing. So the high cost also, like gasoline is not too expensive, but insurance and that, yeah, you know, these things all add up. Yeah. Then there's another thing which you have to know, which is called pico y placa. So pico y placa is, for example, in the most cities, bigger cities here in Colombia, yeah, sometimes during the rush hour, you cannot really drive. It depends from city to city. But here in Medellin, for example, let's say your placa, so your plate ends with the number 9, you cannot drive on Tuesday and Thursday during rush hours. So if you, for example, of course, if you can plan around that, that's good enough. But sometimes you plan some workout because it's Colombia, and then you're just in a big stress. Because you want to get home, because yeah, otherwise you get a hefty fine. But
we have to add there that it's in the morning and in the afternoon. It's not just like one time. Rush hour is in the morning when everyone leaves for work, and in the afternoon.
Exactly. And talking about hefty fines, that's another thing. I just had a friend of mine that with a motorcycle, actually, he broke the speed limit and got into a radar. Yeah, they have radars here in Colombia. And yeah, he paid 800,000 Colombian pesos for 2 fines. So for one fine, 400,000 pesos, which is around 140 bucks, right?
Around that, yeah.
So the fines here, and he didn't overpass or surpass kind of the speed limit by a lot, but still, like, the fines here are very expensive. Yeah. What else is there before driver's license?
Well, driver's license, the fingerprint stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk about how to get a driver's license. So before in Colombia, you could just kind of, like you gave some people some money and it worked out all fine. And now they installed, or probably a year ago, they installed fingerprint scanners in the driving school. So what happens is that you cannot just transfer your US driver's license or wherever you're from to Colombia. You actually, after or as soon as you have a visa, you need to have a Colombian driver's license. And yeah, now you have to have fingerprints, whereas before you could just kind of give some money and they gave it to you. There's still some shortcuts around stuff like that. But yeah, you're never really quite sure
and
if how legal it is.
They're cutting down on it. Like they're cutting down on a lot of like those gray zones that they used to have. They're cutting down of those. So there was a case in Bogota where they actually I think everyone that got a driver's license with that guy, they just paid for it kinda. They all they got their driver's license revoked. So those things can happen too. So I would say do it the right way or just leave it, because you don't know like those gray zones if they're really legit or not. So
exactly,
we'll just leave it out.
Yeah, and then for that you have to go through 20 hours theory more or less, 20 hours more or less practical driving, And then yeah, that whole thing costs around $300-400. So yeah, the money is not too bad, but it's just, yeah, you have to spend around 40 hours to get the driver's license. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So these are all the downsides. Too high cost driver's license, you have to get a new one. Then all the administrative things like with insurance and all of those things. Then, oh yeah, another thing is if an accident happens and you're the foreigner, you're most probably the one gonna pay. So a lot of people they don't really have insurance, or they don't really know how to handle that and stuff. And then yeah, stories we heard that usually then just the foreigner that has, of course, the insurance and everything just has to pay. So that's another thing. And then yeah, just kind of the pico y placa thing and the finding the parking spots, and that's just all a hassle in the Colombian cities. I think the pros are only apply if you either have kids, because you need to bring them somewhere and stuff like that. And then for a job, of course, most expats not really gonna have a job that they need a car here, but if you need it, then it makes sense. And if you're in the countryside. The countryside, yeah, we know that the police officers are not really too strict with the whole, yeah, let's say, license thing. So you maybe are able to get it, or just, yeah, can drive around with just your US license. That could be fine, but it's still a gray zone, and maybe you have, I don't know, to bribe somebody or stuff. But there it makes sense, because living in the countryside without the car is quite a hassle. So yeah. I think, yeah, is there's anything you want to add to the whole discussion?
I think that was pretty much it. In general, I personally wouldn't have a car. I like even considering having a car here, especially here in Medellin, because we have the metro system and everything. Like, it makes a lot of things way easier and faster, unless it's rush hour. So we just plan our days around rush hour and just use the metro system, because you don't have to worry about traffic at all. Yeah. That's why I personally would not consider having a car here, at least in the big cities. And traffic is really a hassle. So you rather want to use the metro instead of having a car. But you have to find that out for yourself, coming down here and experience both sides, like having a car, a taxi, and yeah, using the metro. So yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it.
All right, that was pretty much it for this video. Don't forget, if you want to find out more about how life could be here in Medellin, don't forget we offer a video course. The link to the video course, which is called Medellin e-guide, is in the link in the description down below.